My name's Adam Bleibtreu, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Creative Circle. I really want to thank you for joining us today for our conversation about entering the virtual job market. We hope that you find the information we're going to talk about today helpful as you pursue your next career or the career that you're going to face as a recent college graduate. For those of you that have graduated in the last couple of weeks, congratulations. Welcome to the real world of work. You only have fun and opportunity sitting ahead of you. Please feel free, as part of the rules of engagement for today, to use either the chat box or the question and answer box, both of which you can find at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to ask questions as we go, provide comments. Feel free to provide tips to each other or to network with each other, as well as to have conversations with us. We'll keep an eye on the conversation and we'll try to get to as many of your questions as you can today. We have Jackie who's helping us behind the scenes. So from time to time, you'll hear me ask Jackie to change slides like I am now. You'll also from time to time see me look off camera because I have two monitors and I have aging eyes. So it allows me to keep track of what we're doing and to look at the chat on the other monitor. So Jack, let's go to the next slide if we could. Let's talk a little bit about who we are and what we are. Today, we have come together as three companies, Apex Systems, Creative Circle, and Oxford, and expertise from all three of them to hopefully give you answers and information about the virtual job market. Apex Systems is one of our companies, and it provides organizations with scalable IT staffing and services. Creative Circle is connecting creative marketing digital professionals, and Oxford really provides organizations with senior level talent, customized project services in the areas of IT engineering, life sciences, and healthcare technologies. We have four professionals from those companies as our panelists today, and they're going to answer questions. Those of you that registered provided questions in advance, so we'll start with those, and then as I said, we'll filter into some of those that you're asking along the way. Please use the chat in the Q&A. That will help us stay engaged with you. Also, please be aware that we're recording today's conversation, and when we're done, we will post it on YouTube. We will send you all a link as to where to find it. Feel free to review it. Feel free to share it with your friends. We're trying to provide this information for you to help you in your ongoing job search. We've broken the questions into a couple of areas and we'll go through them in order, but most importantly, let's talk about our panel because they're far more interesting. So in just a moment, we're going to start on the left with Amy and we'll go across the panel. We want to talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, most importantly, where you went to college and what your major was. Before we get started with you, Amy, as I said, my name's Adam Bleibtreu. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Creative Circle and at the parent company ASGN. I went to the University of Southern California and I was a filmmaker and a journalism student. Amy, you're up. You're on mute, Amy. Not a worry.
All right, am I on now? Oh, and now I can't hear you.
Now Adam's on mute.
You're
on mute. Okay, even. Everybody can hear me now? Good. Congratulations to all of our college grads who have joined us today. My name is Amy Karkwoods. I'm a Senior Vice President with Oxford Global Resources. Oxford is a leading staffing and consulting company. As Adam said, we focus in a technology market of engineering, software, healthcare, and life sciences. My bachelor's degree is in political science and English from St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa. I hold a master's degree in legal studies from Webster University in St. Louis, and I have done my continuing ed at Case Western University in Cleveland, Ohio, and Babson College in Boston. I do enjoy working with college students. Prior to Oxford, I was the Assistant Dean of Admissions at St. Ambrose, where I worked with a lot of college students in their overall career development. Want to say thanks to Adam and all of our panelists, and I'm looking forward to a great conversation today. I'll pass it to Patrick.
Thanks, Amy. Congratulations again, guys. My name is Patrick McCurry. I am the Executive Delivery Manager over at Apex Systems here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. We specialize in, IT recruiting across all verticals, whether it be finance, government, or what have you. And our job is to help great individuals like yourselves get placed in opportunities, whether it be contract to hire, or permanent engagements. I actually have my bachelor's degree in psychology from Savannah State University with a minor in business. Who would have known with a psychology degree that I would end up in IT? But I enjoy helping people. I enjoy helping guys like you, and I get such a thrill from helping you guys find your dream opportunities and help you propel your career. So I'll pass it off to Bridget.
Hello and congratulations. I share the sentiment of my fellow panelists. What an exciting time for you all. I am a senior recruiter with Creative Circle based out of Chicago, Illinois. I've been with the company for going on 9 years now after getting my bachelor's from Michigan State University. So go green. I also spent about 2 years in Atlanta, Georgia, getting further education to do art direction in the creative space. So Creative Circle really works similarly to Patrick, to deliver contract to hire, and permanent placement positions across digital marketing and creative. And we're really excited to be able to have this discussion with you all today, and I will pass it over to Annie.
Thanks, Bridget. I, like Bridget, have been at Creative Circle for going on 9 years now. We actually started at the same time. I have a background in business and marketing. I went to the University of Puget Sound in lovely Tacoma, Washington, which is near Seattle. And huge congratulations to the grads. This is definitely a memorable time to be entering the job market, to say the least. I also recruit for the design and the creative space, so work with a lot of graphic designers, copywriters, project managers, and have a huge passion for user experience and product design.
Fantastic. Thank you guys again for all being a part of this. As the attendees can see, we've got a pretty robust panel in terms of experiences and industries that we serve and we recruit for. So Patrick or Pat, I'll try to get it all in order today. I'll start with you, and I'd love your thoughts about how you have seen recruiting hiring processes change in this time of virtuality, I'll say.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. So it's fun. It's different, but the way I like to look at it is you have to control what you can control, and that's what we've done with our clients. In most cases, our clients that are hiring is kind of sped up the process. Reason being, your managers aren't traveling as much. It's easier to coordinate schedules. Everyone is usually available for you, so it's somewhat sped up the process. But in other cases, it can extend it if you have managers that still would like to do, in-person interviews, or would like to, try to coordinate schedules with a ton of people. So it varies, but for the most part, it's been really easy, kind of smooth, and definitely fast.
Great. Amy, anything that you would add in terms of how you've seen the marketplace change since it's become virtual, particularly for those that are entering in early in their careers?
Well, the whole process obviously has changed obviously interviewing virtually, not maybe meeting the person that you're going to be interviewing with, not seeing your office environment, where you might sit, what the coffee machine might look like. I mean, we're not doing that right now. So of course it has slowed down. So that is a change. I think a lot of the college graduates thought, gosh, 6 months ago, I'm going to have lots and lots of opportunities. We realize that has certainly changed. There's still a lot happening though, and we have to be prepared. We have to be patient. We have to be proactive, probably over apply, and get out there. And I think we're going to talk about this a little bit later, hopefully, we really have to network right now. We have to, use that piece of, I'm a young college grad, I need to reach out for help, I need to network, I need to talk to my neighbors, my parents' friends, my buddies' parents, etc. So I think the overall, how we're going about landing our first job has definitely changed, and we have to adapt to that.
Great advice. Thank you. It's interesting. I've had a couple of recent graduates from my university reach out through the alumni network, and I encourage that a lot. We have a tendency to look out for and take care of our own, at least in the Trojan network, and
100%.
a lot of you as well. Annie, I have a question for you, particularly given the market sector that you recruit for. It's no less competitive than it's ever been in the job market. And how would you help guide people to finding a way to stand out earlier in their career in such a competitive marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's in the same boat right now. So I wouldn't be as concerned about getting a job just to get a job. The whole resume gap thing, I think everybody's going to be a little bit more lenient on right now than usual. I would rather see you take this time to either fine tune your skills or flesh out your portfolio. So you should develop case study type walkthroughs if you're a designer for any and all of your projects. The more that you can easily explain to people what your process is, what your thoughts were, that's what's going to make you more competitive going up against people that might have, 2 and 3 years of experience for roles. So if you've done a project in school, take the time to expand on that. So let's say you did a design challenge for a mobile product. Okay, now how would you market that mobile product? What would the advertising look like? What would the email look like? I want to see all those assets. I want to see why you decided to use the colors that you used. In fact, there's also a lot of daily UI challenges that you can look at online to kind of further expand on your portfolio. So I think the time right now is going to be a little bit less of what were you, where were you working versus what were you doing? So if you can show that you've been taking the time to reinvest in yourself and your skills and your portfolio with the skills that you have, I think that's going to be what sets you apart from people that, might have a year or two in the seat.
And if I might piggyback off of that really quick to both of your and Amy's points about being very proactive during this time, we also encourage a lot of work for trade. If you are younger in your career, approach different neighborhood and local businesses. See how what you're looking to get into, they could benefit from. So you can use that work, whether it's design related, social media, marketing, copywriting, that you can use to then put in your portfolio, build your samples, adjust your resume, and market yourself further.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there's so many businesses that are hurting right now, like the restaurant and bar industry especially is in a whole new ballgame. And I doubt they have marketing that's supporting this. So they're just kind of, putting things together as best as they can. So I'm sure a lot of owners would be open to the help. It just in exchange for feedback, whether they use the work or not, I think would lead to some really great real client work that you could put in your portfolio.
Definitely. And we know college grads coming out now are tech savvy, know social media. Even if I don't have a marketing degree, but boy, you know how to use Instagram and you know how to use social marketing. And the lady said it, take the time to make that resume perfect. Brand yourself. Make sure that your LinkedIn account looks great and you've got a professional photo. You have the time right now, take it and really, make yourself as marketable as possible. The economy is going to pick up. Do we know when? I'm already starting seeing signs, but just stay on it. Nobody should be taking the summer off. Everybody should be, looking at this every single day to how I can make myself a little bit better in the job market.
And if I may add, I think Amy brought up a good point about making sure your resume stands out. I like to use this analogy when I'm working with a lot of undergrads who want to come on for Apex specifically. Think about a 5-star restaurant that you go to. They have this nice long menu. but usually there are no pictures to let you see what the food actually looks like. So you're looking at the words. It's the words that's on there that makes you, you know, really want that piece of steak or want that burger. And then when you actually receive it and then it looks exactly like what you pictured it to look like, that's what we want. So translate that to your resume. If you're putting some of those catchy words in your resume, it's really clean, it's to the point, and you're showing us what you want. I mean, it's that much better for us as managers to really want to pick up on it and talk with you even further. So,
Patrick, just to follow up on that, a question for you that I've always wondered about. Do you need a single resume for every job, or do you customize your resume for each job that you apply to, particularly if they're in related fields but not the same field?
good question. So typically you want to change your resume based on the job that you're looking for. The last thing that you want is to have your resume read for a help desk opportunity, but you're applying for a project manager opportunity. So I want to make sure that it all looks good and is clear. But at the same time, for, you know, you guys that are recent grads, you know, your last job may have been at Chick-fil-A or, you know, a local youth program. In that case, you want to make sure that whatever you were doing in those previous roles, that it speaks to the job that you want. For example, if you're looking for a project manager opportunity, I would make sure that the work you were doing at Chick-fil-A, it speaks to what you want to do as a project manager. So not necessarily serving food, but, you know, I manage a team of 3 employees who did X, Y, Z. So it's just about word track and making sure that you're pushing yourself further for the job that you want.
Great. Bridget, Amy, any thoughts about a customized resume or for the creative field in specific portfolio?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to have like a basic resume that you can pull from and tweak. Like a lot of candidates have one that has, you know, thinking through all the different bullet points that you can use, but that's not, you don't send the same one to every client, but you can use that as a template to pull from as you're applying to things. And I agree, you should customize it for every job. I can't tell you how many resumes I've gotten that, you know, even the objective or the opening line says, I'm really excited about this opportunity, but it's not the opportunity they're applying for. So it's a pretty common and kind of rookie mistake that you should avoid. As far as if you're concerned about your experience and not having enough experience, move your education to the top. If it's in line with the field that you're wanting to get into, put your degree there. If you did internships or any sort of like group project stuff that you think might be applicable, call that out, and then put your service industry stuff down below. Like Patrick said, I think there's a lot of applicable skills within service industry experience, but just make sure you're being short and to the point. I don't need, you know, 16 bullet points about your position at Chick-fil-A when, you know, 2 might serve just fine.
Great. Bridget, any advice to how a candidate can get your attention on LinkedIn or the attention of a recruiter by using LinkedIn versus the direct application path?
Of course. Again, one thing to kind of go back to what Amy, you know, started out with is making sure it's updated. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see, where I know someone is in a position and it's not listed on their LinkedIn. I know they've graduated, but it still has to present. Making sure that your end dates are updated, making sure that you have a professional picture in there, and reach out to me. I mean, I don't even know how many connections on LinkedIn. And so I do a lot of proactive searching for very specific client needs. But it's also really great when I get in-mails from people. I'm extremely responsive via email and in-mail on LinkedIn. Reach out to me, send me your resume. I will be as helpful as possible for whatever I can offer my professional assistance with for what you need.
Great feedback. Amy, a question's come in from the attendees about a December grad versus a recent grad. So there's a couple of more months going back to school in the fall. Any short tips about prepping for that moment and how to best utilize their time in the fall?
We mentioned this, I would make sure I'm on LinkedIn. I would make sure that I am linking in to if there's a certain industry or a certain skill set that you really would like to enter a company. Ask people for informational meetings. Hi, Adam. I'm interested in marketing. What kind of advice would you have for me? Start early. Obviously, you can't say, oh, wow, start working in college now, trying to get those types of skills. But those types of things are really important. Different clubs that you've been in and organizations and teamwork. All of that is, you might not say that's real life experience, but it is. Internships, mini internships, volunteering within companies, to be able to show an employer in my senior year of college, my last semester, I did this. I think that's a really good thing to highlight, but I don't think it's too early to start networking, sending out resumes, saying you're a December grad. We've actually interviewed folks where it may be 6 months early, and made them offers. So it's never too early to start.
It's great feedback, and I can say from personal experience, Bridget, like you had mentioned, frequently people will reach out to me on LinkedIn for informational interviews, and it's an easy way to have a conversation with someone, because the conversation is based on the premise that we don't have an available position, but we're happy to talk about what our job looks like. And Pat, as you were saying earlier, beautiful analogy back to the menu. I find a lot of college students and early applicants into the job world think they know what a job is, but they don't actually know. So they have this image, and informational interviews and networking through your alumni groups and your friends and your parents' friends into gaining a little insight into what these jobs actually are. I just think it's tremendously helpful. Pat, a question for you about industries that you're slowly seeing turn back on. Are there any job recs, job orders that you're seeing coming in that gives some hope to one category or another?
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually jotted down a couple. So there are a few. So first, e-commerce. Any company that sells their goods online will more than likely start to pick up, and we're starting to see them pick up, as well as anything in financial. People are refinancing their mortgages at high rates. I mean, it's a sector, especially for Apex, that has a ton of IT roles. Also think about your pharmaceutical and life sciences, and you guys can speak more to that. They're developing vaccines, drug treatments, testing options, all sort of things which should increase the hiring rate. And two more, your healthcare industry, which speaks for itself, as well as the industrial. Companies that make cleaning products, household items, anything for COVID relief, you'll start to see a lot of those companies pick up, as opposed to your airline industries or your cruise line industries that usually stick to the CDC guidelines, which don't, create a ton of opportunities at the moment.
I'll add to that. We have to think the market right now very virtual. So, virtual meeting providers, what are we doing right now? Zoom, very busy, and Teams and WebEx, and a lot of that, those markets have picked up. Those companies are very busy. E-learning, for any of our college grads that did their last, few months online, those industries are very busy. Artificial intelligence, virtual reality, virtual digital shopping, cash to digital. There's still a lot of markets and industries that are very, very busy.
It's great. It's great to hear that that there are opportunities out there. Really, really appreciate your insights. Bridget, a couple of questions have come through about transitions. Either started a career path, maybe not exactly what you want, or graduating with a major and deciding that, yeah, I've graduated with it, but I'd really rather be a graphic designer or an art director. So any thoughts about how to handle a transition like that?
It can be a little tricky, but I would imagine most people on this call are so new to their career that we shouldn't have too much roadblocks. But if you do encounter this later on, or a year or two into, let's say you get into a sales position and it's just not for you, and you would like to be in a creative field, the best thing to do is probably to if you can, take online courses, start to sharpen those skills. And to other points that we've spoken to already, making sure that you're highlighting any of your experience that you've had prior and how it can apply specifically to what you're looking to get into. If it is a marketing position, how could what you did perhaps at your last role be looked at in terms of marketing? So an employer that is looking at your resume is reading it, they're really picking up on those keywords, those buzzwords. So definitely enrolling in different types of classes to sharpen those skills, continue to network, see where you can get in your foot in the door. There is no wrong way of how to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, I think what a lot of hiring managers are considering when they're looking at a resume, whether it be a recent grad or somebody that's transitioning, is what is the ramp up time going to be like for this person? How much hand holding do I really need to do? So that's where the education piece comes in. You have a better level of understanding about how this designer was probably taught versus somebody that's self-taught and you don't know how they're structuring their Photoshop file, or if you're going to have to teach all of that. So think about those things and how to overcome them either on paper or on a portfolio. And I think also just have a reasonable expectation in your mind. You know, if you're transitioning, you're probably going to have to take a couple steps back in level of seniority. You know, if you've done sales and you're moving into design, you're not necessarily going to get that senior design position. You're probably going to have to start at something junior and work your way up. But the thing that you bring to the table is that business sensibility. So you're probably likely going to ramp up faster than, you know, somebody else that has that background. But I think going into things open-minded, being able to just kind of listen to any opportunity and really think about, you know, if I were hiring me, what would my concerns be? And then how can you structure your resume and portfolio to try to overcome those?
Great advice, and thank you. And again, for those listening in, we're going to run a little long because you're asking some great questions, and I think our panelists are open and available to hang out and keep chatting a little bit. I also want to remind you that we're recording this, and all registered participants will get an email with a link to where you can find this video. So if you got into it late or you have to check out early, all of which is fine, you'll have access to this entire piece of content. Patrick and then Amy, I have a question that I want to direct to the two of you, and it's what I've referred to with my kids when they were out looking for work, which is swimming upstream, in the sense that they see a job that's posted, and I encourage them, rather than just generically applying for it, to try to use their skills of deductive reasoning, otherwise known as curiosity, to try and figure out through LinkedIn, et cetera, who actually posted the job at the company and approach it at that level. So Patrick, your thoughts first.
Yeah, so I think that's great. So you definitely want to, utilize LinkedIn and be curious about the opportunities out there. I can speak specifically for Apex. When you see we post opportunities day in and day out, usually we'll have a link to our website or a link to the recruiter or manager so that you can connect with them and learn more about the opportunity. But if it's not looking for it directly, I encourage you to network with others that have applied for similar positions, or find people that have went to similar colleges or working in the field that you want to get into and pick their brains. I've used it myself. I've told everyone that I've worked with to use it, and I think it really helps to get you where you want to go.
Amy, any additional thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would definitely say that I would not hide behind email. If there is an opportunity that really looks interesting to me at a company that I'm really interested in, I would see where I could reach out, and I suggest you link into people. You ask them again. We've already talked about that informational phone call. You can let them know, I've always wanted to work at XYZ. I love your mission statement. I live very close to the office. And, just talk to them about why you're so interested in that opportunity. And again, leverage, I'm a recent college grad. You guys, you can't use that forever. You've got an opportunity right now I'm a recent college grad. I'm very, very anxious to get working. I've worked very hard in school. Can you help me? And again, reach out to other people in the organization. If you're going, working with recruiters and staffing firms, that's awesome. Then you want to stick with that process. But if you're going directly to the company, be a little creative and reach out. And again, it's not, we used to say fax and relax, but I don't think anybody knows what faxing is on the from the college grads. But don't email and just sit back and wait. Really be proactive, be aggressive like that in your search, and make yourself stand out in a different way.
Great. Bridget, and then Annie, a variety of questions coming through on the chat about grads competing with experienced professionals now that the job market is in the state that it's in. And Bridget, I'll start with you. You talked a little bit about sort of the pro bono component of being aggressive in looking to build experience now. So any other quick tips about how to even the playing field?
I mean, the truth of the matter is someone just coming out of college is not going to be able to compete for the same job with someone with 3 years of experience. So also be, mindful about the types of roles and the levels of roles that you are applying to make yourself as marketable as possible for those positions. But you kind of come out with the edge of having that hunger. You are so passionate. You are so driven. Get yourself in front of the right people like we were just speaking to. Communicate the best that you can to really relay your inherent excitement for this industry that you're about to enter and your willingness to do whatever it takes.
Great.
Yeah, I think if you're, and I've seen a couple questions in the chat about how do I compete for positions that are requiring more years of experience. You definitely have to pick and choose your battles there. I'd say at most kind of things that maybe like your 1 to 2 years of experience apart from, and I count years of experience starting with any internships that you've had within that area that you're applying to. So people that are recent grads that have the top of their resume, I have 10 years of experience. Well, you might, but you need to kind of level set to the levels that the hiring managers are looking at, which are usually internships or any sort of like post-grad experience. Now, if you're applying for something that you're perhaps maybe underqualified for years of experience, do know that you're likely going to come in a little lower on the salary curve than what you might see in the posting. So kind of set your expectations there, but make sure that your resume is targeted to that position and is speaking to how your skills apply to it. So if it's, for example, an email marketing manager role working within Marketo, you can say, in my internship, I assisted the email marketing manager for X, Y, and Z. They did use Marketo, or, I've taken, halfway through my Marketo certification course, anything like that, that's going to make them say, oh, okay, yeah, you can pick this up pretty quickly. I think are the ones that you should shoot for if you're applying for stuff that you might feel like you have less experience compared to some others.
Great insight. We had an internship candidate apply last summer directly related to the question around email marketing. And she'd referenced that she had grown her audience for her sorority's social channels by 200 or 300%. And I thought to myself, that's exactly what we're looking for, in the sense that someone that understands how to grow and how to build an audience. They may not have specific skill sets in Marketo, but conceptually they get it. Patrick, I have a tactical question for you. Video interviewing, everybody's going to do a Zoom or a Skype or a FaceTime interview. What are your top 3 tips you pass on to candidates about how to handle a video interview?
Yeah, so definitely treat it as if it was a regular in-person interview. That would be the most important thing, is professionalism. You want to make sure that you're sitting up straight, everything is together, your resume is to your right, you have your pen and paper to the left to jot down any notes. That's the most important thing. And then secondly, you want to make sure you clear any distractions. You don't want to be in an interview and, a hiring manager is talking with you, but all they see are, Michigan State posters in your background or teddy bears in your background. Though it may be cool and fun, it may be somewhat of a distraction for a manager looking to hire you for a specific job. And lastly, I would say have fun with it. We sometimes take things too serious. We can sometimes get really nervous in an interview, but you have to sit back, enjoy the moment, and just have fun with it. So that would be my top 3.
Fantastic. Anybody have one more?
And if I could add, really just dress the part. Treat it as if it's no different of an interview that you were going to drive over and meet your manager at the company. Really take it very seriously. And my best advice for any interview, and specifically with virtual, that we've got to do things a little bit different, try to build a relationship. Try to look at who is interviewing you, your background, ask them questions. You know, Adam, I did a little bit of research on you, and I think it's really great that you've been with the company so long, and you went to school here. So did my, you know, brother. Just try to build a relationship. That's the best way to start an interview versus start just talking about, you know, yourself. Talk to the manager about building a relationship, their credentials, et cetera. That's a great way to kick it off.
It's just great feedback. There's everybody that has a LinkedIn profile is an open book. So finding enough about us to carry a conversation, and something that I encourage from time to time is, even though you are the interviewee, come with 3 or 4 questions that you want answers to help engage and move the conversation. In the creative world, like everywhere else, everybody's working virtual. So if I'm graduating from Michigan State, should I apply for jobs out of state, knowing that for the most part they're going to be virtual, and how would I do that?
That can be a tricky one right now. We are experiencing that today and all the time. And everyone should know that this is territory that is brand new for every single person. It's brand new for employers. It's brand new for applicants. It's brand new for me. And it's always evolving. It's evolving from what it was last week to today. I would say it's always going to be easier to find a job in the market that you're in. The next thing is going to be, you're probably going to have a better shot at applying for jobs that you can more readily access for an interview. You can be there for an in-person interview whenever that might happen, but we are also having clients who are still working remotely, but once their company feels comfortable and their employees feel comfortable, they do want to bring those folks back into an office environment. So making sure that you know what your limits are in relocation, how soon and close you could get to where ideally you're looking to be.
And to piggyback off of that, I think that's important to note, either on your resume or in a cover letter when you're applying for stuff, or cover email. I don't know if anyone really does cover letters anymore. But hey, I'm willing to relocate, or here's why. I have family in the area. You know, anything you can do to kind of overcome that hurdle. I still think a lot of companies have the mentality of like, well, I still want some sort of face-to-face interaction, whatever that might be, or they're hoping things will get back to normal and then they'll want you in the office. You never know. So anything that you can do to kind of help ease any of those potential questions before they even, you know, accept or reject your resume, I think is helpful to call out.
That's great. Pat, a question about grad school. A couple of folks in the chat have done the undergrad routine, went to work for a year or two. Now they're coming out of grad school. Anything that you would say unique to someone with that experience background versus an undergrad?
No, and I don't know about you other ladies, but in my experiences, it doesn't really change much, whether you're an undergrad or a graduate. It really just depends on what you're looking for. You know, the process doesn't change. You still have to do the work. Your resume still has to be up to par. You know, you have to be professional and still push for the opportunities that you want, whether it's, you know, 0 years of experience or 2 to 3 years of experience. I think what most people miss out on is sometimes it's not all about the technical skills and what you bring to the job, that the soft skills are very important as well. So, you know, speaking to, you know, the great things that you've learned in grad school, or, you know, the virtual meetup groups that you are part of, or the different organizations that you follow on LinkedIn, like all of those things are things that we look at, regardless if you're undergrad or completed another degree.
Yeah, I agree. I think graduate experience is great to have. And if you have the time to do it, definitely do it. It might not impact your ability to get a job right away, but it could potentially impact your ability to move further down the chain as you grow in your career. For example, I had a good friend of mine that was a marketing manager, and she wanted to move to a marketing director position for an educational institution, but she couldn't do that until she had an MBA. So she had to take a break in her career, go back and get the MBA so she could advance. Whereas, if she'd done that right after school, it might have been a different story or put her on a different path. So I think when you're looking at graduate school options, you need to consider, like, where is this going to have me go in my career? Is this going to help me be a stronger candidate 5 years down the road when I am looking at that senior or director job? Could be.
Great point. So we've run a bit over on time, and I want to be respectful of the panelists. So I'm going to go one by one, Bridget, starting with you, and because you're in the upper left on my screen. And what I want to ask each of you is the single tip that you would want someone who's listening in today to walk away with about how to attack the job market. So Bridget.
This is something that I came up with off the cuff a couple years ago at Creative Circle when I'm interviewing candidates. Is there's 2 P's of your job search, and that's patience and persistence. Be patient, especially right now. We're going through a global pandemic. We are going through so much as a world and as a country. Be patient with the job search. It will pan out. It will play out how it's supposed to, and be persistent. Keep interviewing, keep applying, keep sharpening those skills, because ultimately the jobs that you don't get are going to help you land the job that you want.
Beautiful. Pat, you're up next.
Yeah, I agree with everything Bridget said, but it's also building a game plan and knowing that, your dream job is not going to come tomorrow. It may come the next year, it may come the following year. So having that game plan, knowing the companies, knowing the industries that you want to work for, increasing your LinkedIn presence, being on those, virtual fairs, or doing whatever you can to push yourself forward, and treating interviewing like an 8-hour job. I mean, if it's getting up at 6 in the morning to go to Starbucks and just to sit there with your open laptop to apply, going and grabbing lunch and then going home and finishing for the day is getting 1% better each and every day.
Annie, you're up.
Ditto to everything. I think also don't succumb to the pressure of feeling like you need to apply for a bunch of things. Stay focused, stay targeted, stay within your skill set. You don't need to blast your resume out there. I think make sure that you're looking at stuff that you're qualified for, and spend the rest of your time reinvesting in yourself. How can I make myself more marketable? What if I put together a case study that's going to help showcase my work a little bit better while I'm applying for stuff? So maybe it's, you apply for a job every couple days and spend the rest of the time doing that.
Great. Amy?
I would say network. I've said it before. Network, network, network. Just do it. It takes courage, but pick up the phone, use the resources you have. Again, talk to your parents, friends, your alumni in your school, folks that go to your church, whatever it might be. I believe 40% of job changes are found through network and through a referral network. So that's really, really important. And I said it before, leverage I'm a fresh grad, can you help me? I'm always very honored if anybody ever reaches out and asks for career advice, or could I ask you a couple questions, or could you help me get prepared for my interview? So college grads, just do it. And I think it will help and hopefully pay off.
Great advice. I would like to thank each and every one of the panelists. I would close with some advice an early mentor gave me in one of my frequent job searches earlier in my career, where he said I needed to learn how to embrace no. And the word no doesn't hurt you. And if you embrace this form of rejection and you actually seek it out. He used to teach me to wake up every morning and find 15 people that would say no to me by noon. And every day that I would do that, it got easier and easier that I would seek people out because I knew that if I got enough no's, somebody would say yes. And I think there's a huge piece to this emotional hurdle that the job that rejects you or the job that doesn't get back to you isn't the end of the world. It isn't the end of your day. There's another opportunity, Pat, as you said, if you've got a game plan or you've got a roadmap ahead of you. And I graduated from film school and journalism school, and I'm a chief marketing officer. So the world has a path for you. Staying focused, staying dedicated, and most importantly, working hard, I think are all key components. So Bridget, Pat, Annie, Amy, I could not thank you enough for your time and your expertise. Jackie, I think we've got 1 or 2 more slides to put up for the participants. We have resources available. Feel free to take a screenshot now. Feel free to go to the Creative Circle website. We've got a blog there with some resources. I know that Oxford and Apex Systems do as well. I encourage you to reach out to any of the panelists after the webinar today. I know each and every one of us would be happy to chat with you via LinkedIn. And that's really where we'll wind up today. So thank you again so much for registering, for participating. Thank the panelists for their expertise and their time. And Jackie, we thank you for running this behind the scenes in a way that makes it seamless and easy. So everybody have a safe and healthy rest of the week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.